If you want to talk about how crazy this world is, Donald Trump has a labor secretary who's been accused of sexual relations with staffers. Her husband is now barred from going into the building because he allegedly groped a couple of staffers. Can somebody explain to me why this ain't a big deal? I mean, it's crazy, Michael, to see how mainstream media goes, that's just one of those things in the Trump world. And also this here, the D.C. police have searched the office of Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer as they look at the allegations against her husband. I mean, this entire administration, when you just look at the corrupt nature, and it's all been treated as, man, really no big deal.
Well, you know, Roland, when you got a man who is a 34-time convicted felon who became president after inciting an insurrection in violation of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of 1868, and who was found liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll, I mean, well, yeah, you know, a lot of things were pale in comparison to that. Now, I saw this story from the New York Times, and you know, I forgot. At the same time, his best friend was a convicted pedophile. Okay, so a lot of things were pale in comparison to this. Okay, but I saw the story from the New York Times, and you know, I said, you know, wait, birds of a feather flock together. So you got Kristi Noem allegedly in a relationship with Corey Lewandowski. You've got the labor secretary's husband who's barred from the premises. You've got Donald Trump. Now at the same time, you know, a lot of people thought Obama was going to embarrass America. Look at what you have right here. Donald Trump, I hope he shows his entire ass for the next 3 years.
Well, the reality is nothing's going to happen, Matt. They have openly avowed Nazis and white nationalists and white supremacists and racists serving, so they don't care. Let's see. Groping, having affairs. Donald Trump said that's a day ending in DAY.
Yeah, I like how you said that. That's exactly right. I think Michael hit the nail on the head. I don't have too much to add besides one thing I think is actually interesting is that my understanding is the Inspector General in the Department of Labor has started to look into some of these allegations. And I think that's so important because that's another, you know, to use Michael's term, right? That's why elections have consequences. When you have a president who wants to get rid of inspector generals, you want to get rid of inspectors general because you don't want somebody checking the work that's independent of you. So if this ends up being substantiated as an allegation, it's proof positive as to exactly why you need independent arms of the government that can't always be, you know, subject to the president's will or some other powerful person's will or whim, because what they do is they take away accountability. So if there is some meat on this bone here to these allegations, if the Inspector General is the one that uncovers it, that shows exactly why it's important to have those roles. And I think you're also right. I think this has just kind of become old hat. I mean, on one of the last episodes of this show that I was on, we talked about a potential candidate or person they were trying to nominate to go in front of the United Nations who talks about the Great Replacement Theory. I mean, none of this is surprising at this point. This administration is just going to try to do whatever they want. But hopefully with the Supreme Court's ruling today and some of the changing headwinds, we start to see that they're not able to do that with the impunity they've been able to do it thus far.
Coney?
Yeah, I'd agree with the two previous panelists. I think this is a discussion miscarriage of justice. And I think that I'm really happy to see that they're further investigating Chavez DeRemer's husband. I think obviously sexual assault, sexual misconduct has become normalized in this White House. And I'll dissent a little bit from what Michael said. While I don't want him to continue to show his ass, I fear he's going to. But unfortunately, the sexual assault and that being like a common practice in the White House now, it's a really scary thought. The last thing we want to do is have people think that it's okay to walk around, assaulting and abusing women, and particularly when they're in a position of power. whether you're directly in a position of power or you're married to an official in a position of power. It's a miscarriage of justice all the way through. Unfortunately, America's not much of an example of that anymore. But I hope that at some point we can straighten up and start to fly this plane right.
Hey, Roland.
Absolutely. Let me think. When Cooney, Michael, yeah, go ahead. Go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, this past weekend, in addition to watching Sinners, I also watched the Becoming documentary, Michelle Obama, and I was just gonna say, she talked about how she had to parse every word because every word was weighted, and the microscope was on her when she became first lady. And it's just amazing how, like, spouses of labor secretaries and things like that are not under any type of similar scrutiny.